Hello. Welcome to Podro Pascal, a Pedro Pascal podcast. I am your co-host, Rachel Leishman.
I'm your other co-host, Catrina Dennis.
And we are here this week with a lot of news, but also to talk about the short film by Pedro Almodovar titled A Strange Way of Life.
As we know it, I Love You, Smooching Cowboys.
The correct title.
That's the actual title.
Got
We had a meeting with Pedro and Pedro about it, but they said no. But it's the real title.
Yeah, Sony was like, I think we're going to stick with the filmmakers on this one.
Bad decision by Sony, honestly.
It should have been listening to us.
We got it on our merch. It works. It just works.
So true. But there's also, before we get into the movie, there's a lot of news. It's been a time for Pedro Pascal. Catrina, do you want to kick us off with some of the news?
Yeah, the news. That's the way the news goes. The news is that, let's kick it off with like the most obvious and popular piece of news. Pedro is officially going to play Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four. Wouldn't it have been funny if I chose something else and you still put up the Fantastic Four image?
Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah, on Valentine's Day, Pedro and I believe the rest of the cast. I didn't look at anybody else.
It's Pedro is Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn is Johnny Storm, and Eben Moss Bacharach, cousin, is Ben Grimm, aka The Thing.
Yeah, and we had a discussion about this like earlier and how I don't like Reed Richards as a character, so I'm really interested in this. I know. We almost had a podcast breakup, but we're still here, folks. We're getting through it. We're going to therapy.
Because of Reed Richards.
But you know what? If there's anyone who could sell me on it, it'd be him. I've got high hopes. I really love Vanessa Kirby. She really held down that Napoleon movie for me. So and that's saying a lot. Like Sue Storm is also historically a character that I just don't care about. And so I think it's really fun that like we have these talented actors bringing these characters to life.
I'm excited. I know a lot of people are they were like, no, it's not that great. It's just like popular people. I'm like, no, I think every single one of those people will do a great job with the character that they were cast in.
Yeah.
So yes, they're all popular people, but they're also pretty good casting choices for these characters.
And this movie is supposed to take place like in the past or in the future. Because, like, I keep hearing, like, oh, it's, like, retro 1950s, but then I hear, like, it's the Jetsons, and I'm like, but the Jetsons are from the future.
The future being 1950.
Yeah, mid-century modern future, I guess.
That I do not know. But because Pedro did get cast as Reed Richards, that he is no longer going to be in the Zach Cregger movie Weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Which is upsetting for me, someone who loves Barbarian. And I was very excited to see how they were going to use Pedro's fame to kind of subvert our expectations, because that's what Zach Cregger did with both Bill Skarsgård and Justin Long in Weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Or not in Weapons, in Barbarian. So I am a little upset that he's not going to be in Weapons now. But Josh Brolin might take over, and that's nice because Josh Brolin's never done a horror movie before. But I wanted to see Pedro do horror, which leads into the other big news thing from this week. He talked about how much he loved horror movies during the Vanity Fair cover shoot that he is in.
Huzzah! Yeah, that preview was released this week. There he is, standing with Padme Amidala and two other. Yep, exactly. Rocket Raccoon and Coleman Domingo, who really, we shouldn't be adding a character for him. He's just that stellar.
He's just Coleman Domingo. He got his own little show with cocktails that he makes.
Like, here's some fictional characters, and here's Coleman Domingo, who is talented and beautiful. Yeah, I loved that shot. Like it made my inner Star Wars fan happy that like Padme was standing next to the Mandalorian. But I also just enjoyed, look at them. Oh.
Duh boys.
It just looks like a very fun shoot. And then like, oh yeah, and he's in a movie coming out this week at the time of this recording. Known as Drive Away Dolls, where he effectively is Mads Mikkelsen in the Bitch Better Have My Money video, except more bloody.
Sort of. So he's the dealer, and he's a very anxious dealer of a case.
Mm-hmm.
I will not spoil what is in the case, but it's pretty crazy.
Pretty wild. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, and he's going to be in another movie. Jesus, so many news facts.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm very excited about.
We're going to have more episodes.
Yeah, we're going to have more episodes because he is in a Celine song movie, writer of Past Lives, so Can't Wait to Cry. opposite Dakota Johnson and Chris Evans.
Woohoo!
Let me
Oh,
tell
and
you,
it's gonna be a rom-com. Oh my
rom-
goodness.
the rom-com set here in New
Oh,
York.
a New York rom-com. It's perfect. Honestly, you know what? Growing up in the 90s, we had a lot of New York rom-coms.
Mhm.
Now we don't have enough of either New York or rom-coms in movies, in my opinion. So
I agree.
I'm excited. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the news, right?
Is that all the
I
news?
think that's what I wrote down. That's the
Yeah,
news I
very
wrote down.
quickly, it's Barry Keoghan.
Mhm. Mhm.
Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards.
Mhm.
He's in a new Celine song movie. He was on the Vanity Fair Hollywood cover shoot, and Drive Away Dolls comes out.
Woo! Yay!
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's
no longer in weapons.
yeah. So this next couple years is already shaping up to be pretty busy for us. I'm excited for all of it. So because we've got all of that, and then the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to start
Mhm.
shooting what in summer, or am I confusing my? It's gonna start shooting soon.
It'll happen, and we will know it.
Yep. And then at some point he'll probably go in and finish the movie in ADR. So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
it's like he'll send in his little voice memos.
Some voice memos. It's gonna, oh man. I now I am visualizing what like voice notes from Pedro Pascal would be like, where it's just like
Friend line. He'll bring you in warm, or he'll bring you in cold.
yep, yeah.
And
Exclamation mark. I just like just one of those voice notes that like you get from your friend where they're like, "So yeah, I wanted to tell you something," and then they just stop and like cough up a storm, and they're like, anyway."
yep. Oh, so I can't get into voice memos. Every time I get one, I'm like, I don't want to spend 2 minutes listening to this.
Dude, I sent one of my best friends last week like a 10-minute voice note because I had to recap something wild, and I didn't want to sit there and like write an essay, so it was just like, "Welcome to my mini podcast, bitch."
Yeah, and then your phone accidentally locks, and then it just stops playing the voice memos. You go back and where you
Yeah,
were voice
he had
memo.
to literally like hold on to the message and like listen all the way through it to like catch up on my drama. But that's why my bestie is a Cancer, because he'll listen to it.
Hi, Boba.
Boba's making a special appearance for those who are listening because he wanted attention. So now Boba is on the show.
Hi,
Hi, Boba.
Boba.
Hi,
Oh,
Boba.
that leads into us talking about the film of this week.
Woo woo woo.
A Saint Laurent ad.
Basically. Is this Saint Laurent as in like Yves Saint Laurent, or is it just okay?
I
Because
think
I
they're the
was
same
confused.
thing.
There was no Y in the YSL.
So, A Strange Way of Life, a film by Pedro Almodovar, which is quote unquote his response to Brokeback Mountain and his take on the story.
It's like a soft response. It's like a buried in the comment section of Brokeback Mountain kind of response. Like you find it on a forum 20 years later and you're like, "Oh, that's what that guy said."
Here's the thing. I didn't dislike this movie. I think it's really good. It is just a short film
Mm.
that you are equating to the same love story as like Brokeback Mountain, and it's not. It's different, but it
Mhm.
does feel like the criticisms where people said it felt like a Yves Saint Laurent ad are not wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this movie, I don't know. We were so excited for it because, again, I love you, smooching cowboys. We were expecting some freaking smooching cowboys, and like,
Mhm.
I feel like it just didn't have enough time. There's like a moment in this movie where like they just sit there and recap their lives through words. It's just full exposition. And they're like fighting, which is my like least favorite way to do exposition because it's like, don't you remember when we were young and we spent 2 months together? I remember it was 60 days. It's like,
I
oh
remember
no.
it was 59. It was a leap year.
Oh my god. So yeah, do you want to do our special synopsis of this
Oh
movie just to
boy,
catch people up?
I could try. Um,
You're so good at it. You could do it.
I watched this to do the review, and I said I got it. Did not rewatch the movie. It is about Silva, Pedro Pascal, and Jake, Ethan Hawke, who come back together because Pedro Pascal's son is up to some shit. And Ethan Hawke is the sheriff, ACAB, even Ethan Hawke, and he is like, Silva, what the fuck? And so then like they go, Silva gets shot? Question mark.
Wait, huh?
What happens to Silva? Doesn't Silva get who gets
No. Okay, so basically, like Silver rides into town, unannounced. He and Ethan Hawke's character Jake have not seen each other for 25 years, and 25 years ago, they basically dated for like 2 months. They like they hung out with some women and stuff, but like they
No. To
didn't
be
care.
clear, what happened was they both were like, "Come on, ladies, let's go shoot some wine barrels." And then the wine's pouring, they're drinking. The ladies are off to the side, and these two are like, "Yeah, wine," and then just start making out. And the girls are like,
Yeah.
"Bye," and they
Yeah.
just leave.
And then they're like as they're making out, and this is totally where like the Yves Saint Laurent like criticism comes in, because like as they're making out, there are like close-up shots of like their clothes and their belts and stuff, and like they try to reach under each other's like pants and stuff, but like I guess their holsters are too big and like they can't get their hands. Because it's like a really awkward, like, I'm trying to get in there, man. Your belt is too tight.
And also,
I'm just not thinking about undoing your belt.
this is mixed with the wine like having poured all over them. Too.
Yeah.
So it's like they're covered in red wine while this is happening.
Yeah. So
That's
it's like
later in the movie. That is nowhere like I have to give this movie, because it is a short film, I have to give this movie credit that if it was a feature-length film, we maybe wouldn't have had to have exposition that is like, here's everything that you need to know about our relationship kind of deal.
But so Silver rides into town. He shows up at Jake's like sheriff office.
The sheriff's
That's it. It's still the sheriff's office, the police department. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And Jake is like, "I haven't seen you forever." And he's like, "Yeah, you want to make out?" And then they like go, they don't he doesn't really say that, but he implies it like, "Do you want to make out?" And so they go like back to Jake's place at the end of the day, and they like do the deed and like all that stuff. And then the next morning they wake up and they have an argument, because that is the moment we find out. Jake reveals that Silva's son killed Jake's brother's wife. I'm getting there. and then we get more exposition about how Jake promised his dad that he'd protect his brother, and then when his brother died, he promised his brother that he'd protect his brother's wife. And apparently Silva's son had been like shacking up with the wife, and like also Jake shacked up with the wife at some point, and like all this stuff that I would have rather like seen rather than heard. But basically Silva has come into town to try and plead for like freedom for his son, who is ultimately going to get like tried and shot for the murder of a woman. And Jake doesn't want anything to do with it. So like ultimately, after they have that fight and we see a little flashback, Silva rides off on his horse to go to his ranch, where his no good 2-bit dirty son is like sitting.
So mean to him when he gets there.
I know, it's like
they're trying to save your ass.
Seriously, little jerk. So his son like is a little brat, and Silva gives us some money, and he's like, run off to this other guy. He's gonna give you a job. You can just like be free. But Jake follows him there, and then they have like they have this standoff that reminds me of that one like meme from The Office, where like all three of like Dwight like Dwight and Steve Carell and them are like,
it's Dwight, Pam, and Michael, and they're all like,
yeah, and they're all like holding like little gun fingers out to each other. So like, yeah, so Silva's there with his shotgun, and Silva's son is there. Yeah. Silva's son is there with a gun, and then Jake is there with a gun, and they're all pointing at each other.
Wait, so I remember you guys explained everything that got up to. The only thing I was like, one of them gets shot, and the other one has to take care of him.
Yeah. So
gets shot.
There's like a scuffle, and then Silva shoots Jake, because Jake is about to shoot Silva's son. So Silva's son gets to ride off into the sunset. Oh, look at them. They're so sad. And then in order to like stop Jake from killing his son, Silva shoots Jake, like not in a very great spot, honestly. Like I really, in the Old West, I think someone would have died from where he got shot. He got shot like right in the pancreas.
No, he got nursed. He got nursed back to health.
Yes.
From his boyfriend of 59 days from 2 decades ago. It's
Yes.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. That's totally healthy. And then his boyfriend is like, "Oh, it'd be so great if you just lived here at my ranch with me. Sorry for shooting you."
Yeah, it's really like
Roll credits.
the stakes of that scene could not be higher. It is,
Yeah.
and then the shooting happens, and then they're like, "Wouldn't this be nice? Wouldn't this be so nice if this was live?" And you're like,
I
"But
know I shot you in the kidneys, but like, wouldn't
isn't there
don't
a
you want to stay
son
here and
on the run?
do
Like,
you
you
want
should."
to clean up horse shit with me? Like,
And I feel like a lot of the plot holes, whatever, would go completely like I wouldn't care if there
mhm.
was a modicum more of smooching.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this before the show, but like the only real like fan service we get, and I don't watch movies for fan service, but I was promised kissing in this movie. I
I
was
was saying
promised Brokeback
that
Mountain in this
Desert of
movie.
Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, watching Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal kiss against that wall when Michelle Williams sees them,
Mhm.
top
Intense,
tier.
amazing. Top
Top
tier.
tier romance. Nothing tops it. And
Mhm.
so when I was promised that, I had my expectations were up here on
Mhm.
the love front.
What? Okay. I kind of want to do a Podro Pascal version of this movie now that we just call I Love You Smooching Cowboys. But okay, but before we
And
get to
it's
that,
our answer.
before
Wait,
oh,
it's our answer to the Brokeback Mountain version of A Strange Way of Life.
yes, our Brokeback Mountain version, our answer to Pedro's answer to Brokeback Mountain is I Love You Smooching Cowboys. But before we get to this, I do want to say there is a piece of fan service in there, or two pieces if you count both cheeks. Pedro's butt is bare in this film, and I was very surprised. I
You
don't
know
think
how
I've
he's
ever
laying?
seen
You know how he's laying?
just like that, just like his Joel butt piece. He just like I guess he just sleeps like that, which
Sleep
cannot be
face down
very yeah. He's kind of like his pose reminded me of like when Marty McFly wakes up in the 50s and
in the
he's like
Calvin
his
Klein
hands behind
underwear.
his back. Yeah, and he's like
Having
like
having just sat through Back to the Future the musical, yes, I know exactly.
we just listened to that soundtrack. That's great.
First of all,
Yeah.
Catrina, you're canceled. You called it a soundtrack.
Hey, I don't live in New York City, okay?
Doesn't matter. It's called a cast recording. It's theater.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I dropped out of theater when I was in high school, and yeah. So we get like full booty in this, and I was genuinely surprised because like I didn't expect him to have like a hairless butt. I don't know. I've dated a lot.
Do you think that was an Yves Saint Laurent
Yeah,
aesthetic
I
choice?
feel like that was an aesthetic choice because I don't think I'm as someone who has unfortunately dated a lot of men by choice. I've never seen a bare booty on a man. Okay, I've never seen a hairless butt on a man. Exactly, Boba. Exactly.
I've gotta chime in. Hairless ass. Yeah. Here's the thing. The hairless ass, pretty great. There are moments of them being in love that are pretty great.
Yeah.
Love. But the movie is very melodramatic, which is the point.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
stylistic choice, but it doesn't lean hard enough one way or the other to like fully be the thing that it wants to.
Mhm.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah. The swings were just not big enough, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the short film, it suffered because of all that exposition. Like it just didn't hit the way I was really hoping it would.
And it's like, but like we said, it goes from like the most high stakes thing possible to
Mhm.
like Jake recovering and then them being like, wouldn't it be nice if we like live together? Living this with no kind of you're like, yeah, sure. Figure out
Hey,
what was going on though. Like,
I mean, is there anything, and I say this as a queer person myself, is there anything more homosexual than shooting someone and then asking them to U-Haul to your ranch?
I don't know. I pass that baton to
There
you.
isn't. There just isn't. Okay, you just like they had like a full day's date, and then they decided to move in together, and that's quintessentially queer. Just
Twice. That was
mhm.
my Roomba Larry. He was chiming in.
Mine is named Rosie.
Yeah, mine's Larry. So every time he does something bad, we yell at him. We're like, Larry.
Exactly. I'm always like, Rosie, get it together when she goes on tile. I'm just like, come on, lady. That's not what you're here
Um,
for.
yeah, it is just like wild. the way that this
Mhm.
movie kind of, like, sets up their relationship, and I feel like you could have fixed a lot of it by having that, like you said, showing us that exposition.
Mhm.
Give me the wine scene a lot earlier in this movie.
Yes.
Like, there are things that you could have done that would make this less me trying to figure out what was going on and wondering why all of a sudden the tone was different in every single scene, and
Yeah.
more like, "Oh, this is a really good love story. I wish we were here longer, but it
Yeah,
is."
yeah. I mean, like it's I definitely wish there was like more setup. I wish like in a long like a feature film length thing, I could picture like Silver riding into town, and then we cut back to like his younger self who is also riding into town. And when Silva goes to Jake's, we have the immediate flashback to them meeting and when they first see each other
Mhm.
versus where they are now. Because like that's kind of how I see this story going. Is like it's two love stories in one at different points of in their lives, and I just feel like there wasn't enough room in this film to do that.
I agree.
So that's how we feel about Strange Way of Life.
I love you too.
We should do I feel like we should do full movie pitches, but like that's when we get to like our Patreon era because I don't feel like we have enough
It's
energy
our
right
own
now.
movie.
Yes, we just remake movies we don't like, but we just do it back and forth here on the podcast.
Well, to be clear, I don't dislike this movie, I just feel like there was a lot
Hmm.
of more potential that it
Yeah,
could have had.
absolutely, absolutely.
And I feel like I was like, "Oh, well, that's kinda disappointing because it's like it was hyped up so much that I was like, "Okay, my expectations are high." And it didn't completely follow through.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's Strange Way of Life, folks. You can
There's
get it on like YouTube for $3. Yep, that's it.
there's the boys.
Oh, what a shot. What a shot.
When it's like because you have these 2 actors who are playing younger them, and they use them for just that one scene.
That one scene too. And it's like I don't know. The casting too just kind of like doesn't it didn't work for me. But whatever. Or the casting of their younger selves. I
Mm.
mean, just didn't really work for me. They were I mean great actors and stuff, but like I don't know. That guy looks like that dude. You're gonna
You
get
said
mad at me.
hold on,
The
you
his
said that guy. There are 5 dudes on here.
younger Silva
Think
looks like what would happen if they put like maybe not even Pedro's face, but like he looks like a Latino Darren Chris. He does. He looks like Darren Chris. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I just don't understand or recognize men very well, but like he looks
I think I'm
he's
going to go with that option. I'm gonna go with that
He
one.
just doesn't look anything like Pedro to me, which whatever, at the end of the day, it's art, so it doesn't really matter if he doesn't look the same. Like for as little as I understand Broadway, I also understand like blind casting very well. So like if freaking people look radically different from when they're children to like grown-ups, like I saw the Frozen musical, like they cast like whoever's good at those roles in those roles. So like that's fine with me, but like it just also just didn't work. I don't know. That dude looks like he belongs in the Yves Saint Laurent ad, where as whereas Pedro next to him just looks like some guy.
And I will say, Ethan's younger self does
He
look
does look a lot
like
like Ethan.
no, he looks like an Abercrombie& and Fitch ad from 2004.
Like these are clearly models that they hired for the film.
No,
And I'm sure
it's
what
Ethan
they're
Hawke.
yeah.
Too
And
many
this is not to
handsome
say
men.
this is
Too
not to say that
handsome men, but
yeah, this is not to say that Ethan Hawke and Pedro Pascal are not attractive men, but like there's there's just a difference,
there's a
okay?
difference between people whose their career is modeling and actors.
Mhm. Radical difference, radical difference. And you
After
can even kind of
watching
feel
Charming
that like
and
in
Postable and Pretty, models just have to be beautiful. That's
yeah,
the job title.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but
I
I mean
agree.
Pedro's great in this film. He does his best. And he ride he's the one riding the horse too. I looked real close and that's not double, it's him. He's riding the horse. So,
Wait, hold on. I like that he goes to see his ex-boyfriend in a fucking green denim jacket.
I'm like, that is not like all these clothes, man, are just like there's no way that that was the old west. Okay, again, calling Back to the Future. If Pedro showed up in that at a bar, like Buford Tannen would kill him.
Why are you talking specifically about Back to the Future 3?
Yes! He looks like when Marty showed up in his little pink cowboy outfit with like the molecules on it, like that. I guess I have like a whole thing to say about that outfit because it has like scientific
You
symbols
were
all
just
over it that I'm
you
like,
were just waiting for your opportunity. It had nothing to do with this movie. You were just like, "Here's my chance to bring up the costuming of Back to the Future 3, and I'm
but
gonna do it."
the point I'm getting to is that those clothes and the clothes used throughout this film are far too modern for the era that they are setting it in. Like you don't show up to the old west in a bright green jacket. I'm sorry. If
Or
you walked into a fucking
I'm sorry, this
freaking
plaid is at Urban Outfitters.
It is, and their jeans fit just so well, and like it's just not era appropriate clothing. It is.
Trina would know. She was there at the bar when Marty McFly was
He didn't have a hat, Rachel. Almost nobody wore a hat in this movie.
Their hair was too perfectly coiffed, which is not period appropriate.
Everyone
All
had
those men
nice
that were
teeth.
balding.
Just the
All those men were losing their hair back in the Wild West. They should have had adults on.
Where did they get the hair gel for this movie? It's not era appropriate.
Where was your curl talk? Where was it?
It's just not. It's just that's not how clothes work. In
Yeah, how
the
many ascots were in this movie? I didn't over a lot.
a substantial amount. Like I didn't even notice. Okay, in
Fred,
the scene
Fred from Scooby Doo would have the time of his fucking life.
in the scene where they're like drinking the wine, I didn't even notice their ascots until they started making out, and then their ascots were
Ascot.
like out there. I mean, I see it now, but like then they were like out there, and it was just
Wait,
like,
wait,
"Oh,
wait,
are
wait, wait,
you?"
wait, 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 wait. Here it is. How many belts do they have on? They have
So
60 belts
th-
on. They have two each.
well, they have like belts on top of holsters, and that's why they had so much trouble trying to get to each other's
Is
willy
that how is
whackers.
that how holsters work?
Yeah, yeah,
You have
holsters.
to have a separate thing?
Yes, yeah.
I always thought you
That is accurate. It's not the holsters are probably not era appropriate either because nobody carried around that many bullets. That's just a lot. But yes, the holster is a separate piece from your belt. The holster does
that
not hold up your pants. It
feels
holds up your gun. It's different. I mean, Rachel, if you want to see, watch Back to the Future 3.
I've seen it. I didn't pay this much attention.
The holsters are separate. I mean, or an Old West film that also works,
Yeah, you know
like,
what? I realized the hottest gun situation is when they have the suspender thing on.
yeah, yeah,
You're like,
exactly. So they have a little vest that they like pull the guns out of their little boobies.
no, it's when it's just the t-shirt. It's basically what Mark Ruffalo is wearing in Zodiac, where it's just like the t-shirt and his like gun holster the whole time.
Oh my god.
They
Yeah,
can be like stick 'em
yeah.
up.
I mean, everyone looked very great in this movie, but maybe it was just too great, Like they all look like they showered and that they drank
You know
like
what this is?
clear water that was filtered.
This movie looks like Westworld's version of the Wild West. Like
Yes.
if Ben Barnes rolled up, I'd be like, yeah, that checks
Yeah, yeah. There's like indoor plumbing in this version of the Wild West.
out. Yeah, because you have to take care of your boyfriend that you just shot.
Like the bathtub was so nice too. I'm like, how? Like, I understand you're the sheriff, but like, you don't have like a big town around you. This isn't like a mainland Western town.
Actually, they live in like one of those they live on like in Pemberley. They live in one of those houses.
Oh my
I don't know
god.
what those houses are called, but the big ass houses in Jane Austen stories.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's Strange Way of Life.
Literally, when we finished explaining this movie, I was like, oh, this episode's gonna be short. It's only be 20 minutes long. And then we talked for almost 20 minutes about the fucking costumes.
It just doesn't work, man. Like,
About costuming. They were like, why is he in a green jacket?
you can't just walk around the Wild West with a bright green jacket on. Yeah, that'll work out for you. With white teeth, all sorts of it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
What
Like
are you gonna say? That's hot? Didn't you
Not Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent.
What if how they broke up with each other is that one of them went, "This is just too woke for me."
Oh my god, no. Oh,
Like
oh,
the idiots who say the X-Men are too woke for them now.
oh my god. Oh Jesus. The way my eyes rolled back into my head when I read that, it's just, and it's always the same idiots like, "Oh, Star Trek is woke now." I'm like, "Ugh, like where have you been? Like
What do
it
you
started that
mean?
way. It's always been this way." It's like that freaking, it just always reminds me of like that meme of like the two astronauts where like one of them is holding the gun to like the back of the other one's head, and it's like, has this always been this woke? Or like, or one of them would be saying like X-Men is so woke now, and the other one's just like holding the gun to the back of his head like always was.
Why are they astronauts?
I don't know. That's just how the freaking meme goes, Rachel. I'm gonna look it up now because
I get stuck on the astronaut part of it.
that's just how it is. I'm gonna show you this meme right now, listeners. You can look up this. It's literally, I just googled astronaut meme.
Why are
You
they
can see the meme this way. It's this meme, Rachel. I don't know why they're astronauts. Don't ask me. I didn't make the choice.
astronauts? First of all, you wouldn't be floating. Where are they from? What was that flag?
They're just there. They're there in front of Patagonia.
What is going
No.
on? Oh my god.
This is like one of the oldest memes in like modern internet. Like anyway, I'm glad I got to introduce you. So basically usually the astronaut in the front, he's like, has blah, like, oh, blah is blah now, like X-Men is woke now, and then the one in the back says always has been, and then he's got that gun. Anyway,
I like that
yeah.
in your dream of this meme, that astronaut in the back fully shoots him. Nowhere in that image does it say Ben.
I didn't make the meme up. I did.
I'm just saying, nowhere in that image does it say bang, but you said pew. So in your vision for this meme, that man commits homicide.
I just want to edit it now so that it has like Ethan Hawke and Pedro
Hey,
Pascal's heads.
no,
Where
you
it's
should
like
do it with like the bang flag.
oh my god. Just like, and then like Pedro or Ethan Hawke goes like, so your son is a slut now, and then Pedro Pascal is in the back like always has been.
No, it should be like be Pedro Pascal standing there and being like, "Isn't my green jacket in fashion?" And Ethan Hawke's like, "It never was."
Oh my god.
Woo-hoo. Anyways, guys, you know what this means? It is time for stash, 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 stash. The stash on everybody's lips is gonna be
Hey.
Tidrolls.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna start with good old producer Ashley's for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Catrina,
Oh,
fun little tea,
what a
looking
cutie.
cute. Girls looking great. Thank you, Coco.
Mm-hmm.
Just smiling and all happy. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'll go. I picked this one because I would like to
Oh.
know something. Everyone's saying Pedro Pascal, Coleman Domingo, buddy cop picture when? What's wrong with you? They should be boyfriends.
Yeah.
It's
Stop
a
trying to
rom
make everything about cops.
it's a rom-com.
Yes.
They will smooch.
One of them is a real estate agent, and the other one is a
Wait, hold on.
novelist.
Who do you think is a fucking real estate agent?
I think Pedro is the real estate agent, and Coleman Domingo is a novelist, and they meet up during um uh Easter break. It's an Easter movie on Hallmark, and
No, I'm
yes,
vetoing this entire
and
idea.
and Pedro is a cynic, and he's like, I don't want to be in my small town for Easter, but I have to because my mom is dying, and
What in God's green earth are you on?
Coleman Domingo is in town. He's from New York. He's a novelist, right? They're both in town, and they both coincidentally live in New York, but they've never met in New York City, because it's, little city, big city. I don't know. It's hard to run across people there until you don't want to, and then you run across people there. And they meet there, and then they fall in love, but they're like enemies to lovers, right? Um, because Pedro is like, oh my god, the real estate here is like so cheap. I could sell so many of these houses. but like one of them is like one that like Coleman Domingo's family owned or something, and so he's like, "Don't buy my family's house." Then they like kiss, and Pedro Pascal is like, "I won't do it. In fact, I quit real estate. I'm going to be a house husband." And then Coleman Domingo's novel sells for $1 million, and then they live happily ever after with 2
$1
houses.
million in today's inflation.
$1 million in today's industry. That's why they have to have the small town house and then the New York apartment, because those actually cost just about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listeners, you're gonna vote. The whole thing Catrina just said, or my pitch, which is
Okay.
Coleman Domingo is a professor at NYU. He teaches English.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro is a novelist who
Mm-hmm.
thinks institutions are rigged and school is pointless, and so he's writing a book exploring that. And he has to go and shadow these classes to kind of get the feel for it. And he starts by like pushing back at these ideals that Coleman is teaching. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually the two fall in love. That's all. That's my pitch. So you vote between real estate agent, writer, who are going to live on $1 million and own 2 properties, enemies to lovers. I think we know who the winner is.
They're both enemies to lovers. This
You
is
ruin enemies to
I
lovers. It had been
I wrote one for Hallmark specifically, and you wrote one for like Paramount Plus. Okay, like that's
yeah.
the difference.
I'm just saying I'm respected.
Okay, we'll see about that, viewers.
You let us know.
And mine would have a really cool soundtrack. Like, oh
And
my god,
mine
what's that?
wouldn't.
What's that one song where it's like do 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 do
Are you
do.
talking
I
about a
don't.
scene from Shrek?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That would be like the montage where like they're arguing and having their enemies to lovers transition.
Again, guys, you can vote. Mine is simple. Katrina's includes a song from Shrek.
Mine is called the Verdant Easter.
Katrina, show them what your fucking special week is. Here.
Oh my god. Oh, I can't breathe. Um So my stash is also a very happy Pedro. He's just happy. He's just smiling.
He looks
Oh my
scared
god.
by your idea that you just pitched for a rom-com.
Around the world, pretty baby.
What's the problem, baby? Problem, I don't know. Well, maybe
Maybe you're in love. Love.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But he looks so happy. He's just like, ha ha, yay! And again, more fantastic curls by Coco. So wonderful. I love it. And he's got this like little leather collar. It's a good little composition. Wouldn't find that in the Old West.
Yo, that with the plaid. That's at the top of his plaid shirt. Oh, Katrina, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere on the internet if you look for Oh Catrina. That's OHCATRINA. I am on a Star Wars tabletop RPG show called An Unwavering Force, which releases episodes pretty weekly. And then I have another, 2 podcasts? Jesus. One of them is relaunching soon. It's called What's Glup? We talk about everyone's favorite Glup shittos from Star Wars. And then the other one is called In the Cantina with Catrina, where we also talk about hyperfocuses, but more in a more general sense about Star Wars. So anyway, where can they find you, Rachel?
You can find me at Rachel Leishman on Twitter, at Rachel_Leishman on Instagram and TikTok. You can read my work at the Mary Sue and Collider, and you can listen to my other podcast, The Fordcast and Cinema Sibs.
Woohoo! I don't feel bad about having 3 podcasts now. Thank you.
Make sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, tweet at us. Let us know what you want to hear. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.